Calvin Tobin Show. I am your host, Calvin Tobin. Today we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. All right, the college football playoff rankings are finally here, and the top 6 of the top 25 are: number 1 is Tennessee, number 2 is Ohio State, number 3 is Georgia, number 4 is Clemson, number 5 is Michigan, and number 6 is Alabama. Now, in the totality of this college football top 25 list, most of the teams, you could see it and you agree that they are that ranking, but there are a couple of teams that are head scratchers, and it's Clemson at 4 and LSU at 10, but everyone's is scratching their heads at Clemson being 4. There is no way in hell that Clemson is the 4th best team in the country. They are 15 to 20 at best. Yes, they are undefeated. They are 8-0 this season, and they did have 3 top 25 wins, beating 21 Wake Forest 51 to 45. Beating number 10 NC State 30 to 20, and beating Syracuse 27 to 21. But the thing is, if you're the 4th best team, they would have beat these teams soundly, because with what these teams had rankings for, Wake Forest at 21, NC State at 10, and Syracuse at 14 when they played him, who is now 20, you cannot really give them those rankings, and they're not really as good as their rankings said, because those teams were holding on to what they had last year, and they have really easy schedules. So if NC State is ranked 10 and they have a really easy schedule, constantly playing cupcakes, it's going to look like that they are actually that top 10 team, but they're playing FCS teams week after week. But anyways, with Clemson, in half their games, it was decided by 10 points or less. In 4.5 their games, it was Florida State, Syracuse, NC State, and Wake Forest. And the fact that it was close against Wake Forest and Florida State almost beat Clemson, just proves that Clemson is not that team. They should be, they are definitely deserving of a top 25 ranking, not 4. Because if you put Clemson against any of the top 6 teams, that is not them. Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, or even TCU, you put Clemson up against any one of those guys or teams, they will get slaughtered. And I'm not even kidding, they will get slaughtered. They will lose by 25 or more. Clemson is not that good. They are not the 4th best team. But in the final stretch of the college football season, the AP poll of the top 4 is going to get shook up like crazy, because this weekend, this Saturday, we have the game of the century with number 2 Tennessee taking on number 1 Georgia, and then in 3 weeks we have number 4 Michigan taking on number 2 Ohio State. And with this SEC matchup, 2 against 1, the game of the century, this game is actually going to determine who is going to represent the SEC East and go to the SEC Championship and face Alabama. But Alabama could get shocked by Ole Miss. Who knows on what's going to happen in that game. But with Ohio State versus Michigan, 4 against 2. That game is going to seal the deal on the final rankings of who is truly going to be in that college football playoff. And this final stretch of football is going to be good, because we have so many ranked matchups, and we have 2 of the best matchups coming in the final weeks. But which game is going to be better? I'm going with 3 games that are going to be the overall best games of the year. We just gotta wait and see for two of them to see which one is the best game. Cause we had Tennessee versus Alabama, 6-3. Now we're getting 2-1 with Georgia and Tennessee. And then we get 4 versus 2, Michigan and Ohio State. Geez, this might have been one of the best college football seasons we could ever watch because of how many top 7 matchups we are getting, or even top 5 matchups. It's just been that crazy. But Michigan, Ohio State will seal the deal for the college football playoffs. And in the MLB playoffs, it has been absolutely insane to watch because Game 3 and 4 of the World Series have been historical. In Game 3, and both these games were shutouts as well. Game 3, Philadelphia shutout Houston 7-0, and then in Game 4, Houston shut out Philadelphia 5-0. In Game 3, the reason that this game was so historical was because each and every single one of those 7 even every single one of their 7 runs were a part of a home run, and 5 total home runs were hit in this game in 5 innings, and the 5 home runs tied the record for the most home runs hit in a single World Series game. It was just absolutely crazy. It didn't matter which pitcher they faced. These guys were going yard, and the 5 guys that went yard were Bryce Harper, Alec Bohm, Brandon Marsh, Rhys Hoskins, and Kyle Schwarber. And 2 of them were 2-run home runs. And because of how ridiculously offensively powerful that the Phillies were in Game 3, the Philadelphia Phillies fans were loving the Phillies team so much. They were screaming so loud that they actually made the city shake. That's Philadelphia for you. The city of brotherly love. Philadelphia is easily the best sports town in the entire world because that city is the definition of people coming together to watch one great cause right in front of your face, which is called sports. But other than that, in Game 4, this game was historical for the Astros this time, and the historic part was the pitching. It was a shutout, 5-0, but 4 combined pitchers pitched for the Houston Astros, and they combined for a no-hitter. Are you kidding me? A no-hitter in the World Series. Because of them doing that, it's actually the second time. You would think it'd be the first because it's the World Series. It's actually the second time that it's ever been done. The last time it was done was 1956 when it was the New York Yankees versus the Brooklyn Dodgers. And that game went 7 games. So this series, it looks like it's going 7 games. We are in Game 4 right now, but there's a very high chance that because of how electrifying that this series is, it could very well go 7 games. And from 1956 to now, it took 66 years to repeat history in one of the most electrifying World Series that we can ever watch. And what we're watching right now is the Cleveland Cavaliers do something that we didn't think was going to happen so quick, which is become a good team without LeBron James. Because as long as LeBron James was there, they were the only reason of relevancy because he was there. If he's not there, they were a 30 and under win team. But now it's a whole different story from last year and this year because of 2 players, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. The Cleveland Cavaliers are on a roll right now. They are 6-1, and they are tied with the Phoenix Suns as the second best record in the whole league, and they're on a 6-game winning streak. But the only team that has a better record than them are the Milwaukee Bucks, as they are undefeated at 7-0. But starting from last year, Cleveland got 44 wins, and Darius Garland led them to that 44-win season, and they got to the playoffs, but their run was cut very short. And then, as soon as the season ended, they made sure that they kept Darius Garland by locking him down to a $193 million contract, and then a signing happened that surprised the entire NBA world, which was the Cleveland Cavaliers had signed Donovan Mitchell to a $163 million contract. And since the start of the season, they've been nothing but dominant. And it's crazy because this is Cleveland without LeBron James. We're not used to this. We're used to them being somebody only because of LeBron James. But now it's a whole new story because Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are here to take care of the Cavaliers this time. And last night, they ended up facing the Boston Celtics in a wire-to-wire game all the way through. And the unfortunate thing is that coming into this game for Boston, they were 4-2, but the hurting fact is that they have to deal with the fact that Ime Udoka is going to be coaching the Brooklyn Nets, which is very confusing, because this also left a bunch of Celtics players confused because he was suspended the whole year for having some consensual relationship within the organization, which is kind of ridiculous based on how I'm hearing it. But with that, he's suspended. How is he able to go be another head coach at a different organization? Does this suspension even mean anything? What's going on with that situation? But anyways, going into this game, Cleveland had just beat by the Boston Celtics by 9 a few days prior, so we're already seeing this matchup for the second time this year in the 7 games that both of them played. And Cleveland won by 9 the first time, so is Boston going to get the redemption? They almost had it, but they ended up losing by 1, losing 114 to 113. And for how wire to wire this game was, you couldn't tell who was actually going to win because there was always strong stretches by each team. There were consistent shots falling all the time, and 4 players had a superstardom game, and it was a complete superstardom matchup too, because Jaylen Brown dropped 30, Jason Tatum dropped 26, Darius Garland dropped 29, and Donovan Mitchell dropped 25. 110 total points combined between the 4 of them. That's how crazy this game was and how crazy on the offensive side it was. But the asterisk to this was turnovers, and that was on the Celtics because they're the ones that committed more turnovers. They had 14, but even for how dominant Jason Tatum was, and he was trying to take over as much as possible by dropping 26 points, blocking 4 shots, and doing as much as he can, even blocking Donovan Mitchell's last-second shot in regulation to send it to overtime. He could not hold the ball in his hands. He committed 6 turnovers for himself, and turnovers was the biggest issue for him and the Celtics, and that was the reason that they lost this game. They could have won this game in overtime if Jason Tatum was able to, and the Boston Celtics were able to control the ball a little bit more, because this game was decided only by 1 point, and the Celtics did have the ball last. Jaylen Brown just didn't hit the game-winning shot. But all in all, is Boston going to be a good team this year? Who knows, because now Ime Udoka is completely out the window. Suspended, new head coach for Brooklyn. Like, however that's going to go down, because that's oddly confusing, because I don't know how he's able to do that if he's suspended for the whole year by Boston. But Boston, they are 4-3, still the beginning of the season, but they do look like that they can handle their own without Ime Udoka. Let's just see on how consistent they can continue that dominance that they've always been since Jason Tatum has joined that organization. But on the other hand, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, how good are they really going to be? Because they had 44 wins last year, and they're 6-1 right now in the second place out of the whole league. And they're on a 6-game winning streak. Are they the best team in the Eastern Conference? We're about to find out as once this season is going to truly unveil when we get to 20-30 games into the season. Alright, that's the end of the Calvin Tobin Show. Please subscribe to my channel at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports media. And please follow me on Instagram at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports news whatsoever. And I'm out.